welcome back to our channel and welcome to today's video. I'm Heather.
And I'm Cheryl, and we are Canvas and Peach Studios who specialise in newborn and wedding photography.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, and that means you won't miss any of our future uploads.
Today guys, we're going to be talking about a wedding timeline from a Scottish photographer's point of view.
We really hope that this is useful to you. Let's dive in!
So, this timeline might not suit you. This might not be like your wedding day, or your wedding day might be a wee bit different. Every photographer does things differently. This is based on our experience and what works best for our clients.
Firstly, we wanted to touch on what style of photography me and Cheryl are, and this way you will then know if this video will suit your wedding day or not. So our style is quite a fun style. We do candid, natural pictures. We do also do group shots if desired. That just works really well for our couples. We have that conversation with them and then we know what we're going into on the wedding day, which works really great for us.
So guys, a typical wedding timeline starts with your preparations, it then goes into your ceremony. After this point, we then move into your candids. We let you guys chat to all your guests at this point, and then we then move into your group shots and your couple time, depending on the weather. That's mixed up in that time period. And then after that point, we'll let you guys mingle with your guests again, and then moving forward from there, we then move into your speeches. Depending on when your cake cut is, before your meal or after your meal, we'll then photograph that. And then we then move into your dances later on, and that can sometimes include some couple time with a sunset or some groups that you might have forgot about earlier on in the day. And then lastly, we finish up with your third dance, and then we come up to you guys, make sure that we've got everything, and then we say our goodbyes with a big hug.
So the first thing Cheryl just mentioned there was your preparations. Now you might be wondering, what time do I start getting ready at on my wedding day? Now, we can't tell you that because it differs from every person. I mean, it takes me like 4 million days to dry my hair, so you might be different from me. You need to have that conversation with your hairdresser, your makeup artist and your photographer. Work out what you want exactly from each of them, and then add the components of like how long it takes you to get potentially makeup done, hair done, what photos do you want in preparations, do you want jammy pictures with all your girls, and if you do want that, do you want everyone to have their full hair and makeup done? And then you need to schedule that into your morning.
So guys, we went over across to Thailand recently, and we actually came across a really amazing makeup artist, Neil Donkin, and he told us an amazing tip for brides to be that he insists that he gets his brides ready 2 hours before they actually go down the aisle, and that they're all in their hair and makeup's been done, and it just means that the brides can relax on the day and not have any stress. And it also gives photographers a lot of time in between to make sure that they've got time as well. However, 2 hours is quite long for us. We personally think that is a wee bit too long. We would suggest to be ready an hour before your ceremony in your hair and makeup, and that gives us time to photograph you with all your friends and all your family at that point. You can have some time to drink, take some Prosecco if you want, and just really enjoy the occasion. And it just means that when it comes to your photographs, you're not rushed, you're not stressed getting into your dress 5 minutes beforehand. You've got time to sit in your dress and stand in your dress and get used to it and walk around in it. And if you need to go in for that like last minute pee, then you can, and like just so that everyone can feel comfortable, not be stressed, and we have time to do our job as well. And that always brings out the nicest of photographs. I mean, when we photographed Louise in Thailand, it was incredible because she had time to read her vows, and she had time to put her dress on and not be stressed beforehand. And even with that hour, there was probably still that last minute frantic moving about kind of thing, but it still went fine and it was amazing. So I would 100% recommend an hour beforehand.
The next one we're going to touch on is about being late to your ceremony. Now, we've spoke to a few different couples that have said that they purposely want to show up to their wedding a few minutes late. Now, personally, I don't get that because I'm super organised and I love a structure, but your wedding day is set out with exact timings, and if you do show up to your ceremony late, it'll affect your guests, and then it'll affect the time period that you have scheduled for photographs. And then the best part of that is when you get to chill out, have a drink, eat canopies and speak to your guests. So if you are late to your ceremony and it runs on late, then that then affects the better part later on. So the moral of the story is don't be late.
So So guys, now we're going to talk about the most important part of your day, which is the ceremony. Obviously, ceremonies change from different types of ceremony to different types of ceremony. So here's a few things to consider. So guys, the first point for you to consider is how long your ceremony will be. Obviously with different ceremonies it ranges from a humanist ceremony to a Catholic ceremony. The time differences can be completely different. A humanist ceremony usually lasts between 30 to 45 minutes, whereas a Catholic ceremony can sometimes go up to about an hour and 15 minutes. So you always need to consider how long your ceremony is going to actually take.
Another thing to consider on your wedding day is when the sun will be setting. Now, if you're not a photographer, you've probably not thought about that, but it is actually a really important factor, because if you are having a religious ceremony and you maybe choose to get married in the winter months, which is when the sun sets a lot earlier, you will need to make sure that you set your ceremony time around about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock to give you that time period after your ceremony for your photographs. If you're having a Catholic ceremony in the summer months, then you could probably get away with getting married between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and that will still leave you enough time for photographs after, before the sun sets, because obviously in Scotland it's a lot later, and between May and August, so that works out really well. If you're having a humanist or register ceremony and it's the winter months, then you could probably get away with having a ceremony a wee bit later, about like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. But again, all these things factor in. It's how many group shots you want and stuff like that as well. So think about when that sun is setting, because it matters.
So guys, another thing to consider is to think about how long you're going to leave in between your ceremony and you're sitting down for your meal. Now, a lot of people don't realise how quickly this time period goes. I myself actually scheduled in 2.5 hours and it literally went like that. It was so fast, and I did have enough time to speak to my guests, go around everyone, get my group shots done and our couple time, and I still felt like I really needed that extra time period. Like, see if we'd scheduled at least like 3 hours, like I think that would have been enjoyable for me. However, you've got to think of a balance between your guests and you, and scheduling some things into this time period, maybe like, I don't know, like a live band or drinks or anything along those lines that can entertain your guests at that period is always a good idea if there's not much to do in the venue itself. As a photographer's point of view, we can work fast on your day, and because it is 2 of us, we can split up and do your group shots, etc. a wee bit quicker, and your couple time doesn't take as long because we get a lot of different angles in this time period. It's just about finding a nice balance between what you want, what your photographer wants, and what your guests want. Have a wee sit down and think about this one, because that's a tricky balance, but we would always suggest 2 hours at least.
So following on to Cheryl's point about leaving 2 hours in between your ceremony and your meal, is don't worry if you have already booked your wedding and you've not left that time. As she already said, as photographers we work fast, and there is other opportunities other than that 2 hours to get your group shots. Sometimes it rains during that time period, so maybe when your venue's turning over your room, you might have time to do like more group shots that you couldn't get earlier. So don't stress if you don't have the 2 hours. It's mainly just if you can, and if you're in the planning section, then we would suggest to have the 2 hours there, and it can just make sure that that's like super relaxed and enjoyable.
So guys, after the drinks reception, everything tends to be a lot more relaxed and a lot more movable as well. Most venues let you sit down for your meal after the time period of 4 o'clock, and they'll call everyone in, and then everyone will sit down. You'll then get called in as the top table, and then they'll then probably take your meal orders at this period too. Now, what you want to make sure is that you leave enough time for your speakers. Your venue will suggest this to you anyway, but we have seen some disastrous speeches, so I would 100% make sure to have words with anyone that is doing a speech. Another wee thing is just to make sure that you're letting everyone know, your venue, your photographer and your videographer. If you have more than 3 speakers, then make sure to tell us, just so that we know in a perspective of where to take the photographs or the video, and also just so that the person can get mic'd up for the video. And then lastly, it just lets us know to prepare ourselves for a wee bit longer time period during this time. We sometimes like to have a wee munch on a protein bar or something along those lines. The next thing to consider about your speeches is that Sometimes people do it before the meal, sometimes people do it after the meal, and sometimes people do it darted about all over the joint. Not had many couples choose to have their speeches at the end of the meal, purely because everyone that will be doing a speech will be worried sick throughout their entire meal and they won't actually enjoy it, including the couple themselves, because you'll be worried about what the person says during their speech, especially if you have a boisterous best man. So what we would definitely advise is to have it at the start. Now, a few people have had speeches in between the courses. This might sound like a fabulous idea because you'll get your food quicker. What we would suggest from a supplier's point of view is that this is the hardest thing that you could possibly do to us. We've worked from in the morning to that point and we have been paid to work, yes, we agree with that, but what we would say is that it is so difficult to scoff some food that has been quickly made, sometimes might not come out on time, and then we don't have a drink of water, we've maybe not had the time to sit back and relax, and then we're having to keep a tab on everything that is going on in that time period. It can be quite a lot for us as your supplier and also your videographers too. They might have been on the go since morning, not had a drink of water, not had any food in this time period. So give your suppliers a nice wee break, let them chill out, you enjoy your dinner without us having to be there constantly on the go, and just enjoy that time period without any cameras. You want to have a nice wee break, and so do we.
So after your meal, if you have inviting evening guests, they will probably arrive about 7:30. That's the norm. This is a great opportunity for us. We'll normally be going around and getting a different style of candidates. They tend to be a lot more relaxed. Some people have maybe took their hair pieces out, some people might be a wee bit drunk, so the candidates are a wee bit different at this time, so it's really, really nice. When you're out greeting your evening guests, if you don't have them, you'll just be chilling out getting some couple time or just talking to your day guests, having a drink. Your venue will be working very hard to get your room turned over for your evening reception for all the dancing, but before that point it is your cake cut. Now that is normally scheduled about 8 p.m, but honestly, that never happens for many reasons on a wedding day, due to maybe the bride being late, but we told you earlier, don't be late. Or maybe you had loads of group shots and we maybe ran over with them, or maybe the band's doing a sound check and they're maybe having some technical issues with it. So sometimes your first dance and your cake cut doesn't always happen at 8 p.m, and they tend to be back to back. Now, the biggest piece of advice that we can give you during your cake cut is do not look at the camera and cut the cake at the same time. It is the weirdest thing ever, and couples do it all the time. They cut the cake and they cut, and then they look, and then they cut, and they keep cutting. It's the most awkward thing in the world. So when you cut the cake, what you want to do is look at the action you're doing, cut, kiss, and feed a wee bit to your partner, something like that. So that's the best bit of advice we can give you there.
Guys, the last thing that we do on a wedding day is we come up to you on the dance floor, or usually when you're chatting to your guests, and we just come up and say to you that that's us finished now, and is there anything that we've missed that you might have wanted photographed, like say for example like a picture of your Aunt Jean who you never got a picture of earlier but your mum's came up to you and pestered you about it. So we'll go up to you and just make sure that we've covered everything. If there's anything that you're wanting, there might be a nice sunset at this point, so we might just say to you, guys, do you want to go out, and just make sure that we get that before we go, and then double make sure, triple make sure, gazillion make sure that you are okay and that you are so happy with how the day went and how your photographs went, and then we'll say goodbye, and then we'll give you a big air hug or a big hug, air hug in coronavirus time, big hug in not coronavirus time, and we'll just say bye, and we'll speak to you in 4 to 6 weeks after when you come in to come pick up your photographs.
If you found this video super helpful, guys, then please remember to give the video a like, and don't forget to put a comment in the description box below, even if it's just a little emoji. It's just so we know you're there and you're listening.
Lastly, guys, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, which we are hoping to get up next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.
So obviously, if I tidied that up.
I know, and we are canvassing the Damn it! I've got such an easy one. If I have to go. Right.
I've got an intruder. What do you want? Is it by any time your dinner time?
To your blah 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 blah. Why can I never do this?
Was that okay or did I divert?
No, you did well. No, you didn't divert.
Something like that. Is that what you want?
So following on to Cheryl's point about leaving 2 hours in between your ceremony and your meal. You might have time to do like nice candid. We'll be doing that anyway, but